Hey everyone, back to you into today's video. We're going to do the CFS 6 months look ahead today, getting all of the charts from the CFS V2 model together, the 700 millibar height anomaly charts, and then the corresponding temperature and corresponding precipitation charts. Going to get them all together, have a look at what the CFS model is predicting for the next 6 months. Now, this really is just for fun. It's in the realm of speculation. The charts are there, so we might as well use them, but please don't take this too seriously. The CFS model comes with a big health warning at the best of times, even if you're just looking a month ahead. Going 6 months ahead, well, it's almost certainly just for fun, really. The charts are there, so you might as well look at them, but it isn't to be relied upon in any way, shape or form. But this video will be taking us up to January, so I'll be able to see what the CFS V2 is currently showing for January. Now, before you go, in fact, I just want to mention we advertise the video ads on my page is at GazWeapons.com. And you've got to hit play on the video ad. You'll be helping to support GazWeapons.com. The video ad essentially pays me to sit here and talk to you via the website. So if you could hit play, it'll pay for the website. It'll pay me to sit here and talk to you. So thanks very much for getting involved and doing that. I know that you do these things for GazWeapons.com. I know you play the video ad. Thanks so much for getting involved and doing that. And just to say that the CFS V2, or the link to the CFS V2 model, is on my links page. So let's get on with it and see what the CFS model is showing for the next 6 months. And we're going to start with August, the 700 millibar height anomaly chart for August. We're seeing a trough of low pressure in the Atlantic and a ridge up to the northeast. I don't want to dwell too much on August, to be honest, because I only did the forecast yesterday for the August month ahead, and it was based on this really, as well as the Beijing climate centre. So I don't want to get too dragged down with August, but basically it's seen a trough to the west, a ridge to the east, and quite a wettish sort of month, actually quite an unsettled month, although when you break it down into week periods, it isn't actually as bad as it appears. Going through to September, the model is seeing quite a large area of high pressure sitting up to the east and the northeast. We've actually seen a big ridge of high pressure up there over Scandinavia. The trough, if anything, is pushed out into the Atlantic, although we are digging it down into Spain and Portugal. So whilst the trough is further west in the Atlantic, this low pressure down to the south could well be showing signs of beginning to attack actually as we go through the month, maybe bringing some unsettled, quite wet conditions to the south of the country. We'll have a look at the corresponding precipitation charts in a moment. Now for October, a little bit different, well, quite a big difference actually. Major change around. The ridge has gone up to the northeast, and we've reverted to below average heights to the north of Scotland and out into the Atlantic. And the jet stream is a proper sort of strong jet stream coming in across the Atlantic, something like that. So we're more or less running the jet in across the country. And we've got low pressure up to the north of Scotland. It's a westerly based month, or a southwesterly based month. Could be unsettled up in the north. Going through to November, a deep trough of low pressure is in the Atlantic with those blue colours, very deep area of that low pressure. Got the ridge in the mid-Atlantic here, and the jet stream again is running in. That's a very unsettled looking signal, I think, for November. But that deep trough of low pressure to the south of Greenland is the major driver there. As we get through into December, it's hard to see what's causing this, but the trough that was sitting to the south of Greenland is now sitting more or less over the top of the country. That's quite an unsettled signal for December. It potentially is quite cold if we've got northern blocking, and that is really the question. What is driving this trough to be sitting down over us as opposed to Greenland and Iceland? If we've got an area of high pressure up there, and it isn't particularly well defined by the CFS, but if there's high pressure up there and maybe over here, then we're going to start to bring cold air into that trough. So it's hard to say with that really. That could be a cold looking signal for December, or it may not be. It may just be a case of a trough sort of sitting over the country but no real cold air enveloped within it. It depends whether we've got northern blocking to start to push that cold air into the trough. We've got quite a cold setup setting up over the States, by the way. The jet stream there is going something like that, I think, or maybe that's a little bit wrong actually. The jet stream is going something like that. So it's a cold setup for the United States, I think. But for us, it's hard to say. It depends on the northern blocking, to be honest, with that one. As we move through to January, and this is as far ahead as we can go with the CFS 6 months look ahead, then in January, the trough of low pressure is still around, though it's slightly to the west, so that is, if anything, a slightly milder position, because the air is generally becoming more sort of westerly, southwesterly based, again with the deepest of the trough just out to west of the country. But again, it does depend whether we get any northern blocking setting up over Greenland. If we was to get northern blocking up there, and that trough is displaced further south than you would expect, there is a little bit of blocking showing up around here, by the way, across the polar field. We've got some yellow colours showing up there. So the suggestion is that there could be some sort of northern blocking starting to drive the movement of this trough down across the country. If that trough has cold air being pushed into it via northern blocking, then it does become a much colder scenario. But there's not enough detail there for me to say that yes, this is a definitively cold setup for December and January, but it isn't far away from it, I have to say that. Now look at how the temperatures play out with all of this. First of all, we'll have a look at August, and well, we can see that we're near normal in terms of temperatures with August, but I've corrected that up to above average. I think you'll have a warmer than average month again this month. Quite cool down over southern France and Spain, though, or certainly the anomaly is quite cool. Of course, southern Spain in August is still going to be very, very hot, even if the temperature anomaly is a degree or two below where it should be. It'll still be baking hot across Spain. But yeah, for us it's near normal. I correct that to above average. Very warm, of course, across most of Northern Europe. Going through to September, very little change actually. The idea is still that we've got above average temperatures across much of Northern Europe, particularly Scandinavia. That's because we've got that big ridge of high pressure, of course. And again, I would suspect we'd probably like to have another above average month for the UK, although it does depend how much that trough comes up from the south. But I reckon probably another warmer than average month in September. October's looking warmer than average as well. A very strong signal there, really stretched from Ireland going across Northern Europe into Russia, near a normal further south. So both August, September, October, or all 3 months there looking above average. No real change for November, either another warmer than average month. So this is suggesting that again every month up to November will be above average. That'll be a year of above average temperatures by the time we get through to November, because this above average run started in December last year. Now we get to December and look at this, we're reverting to near normal there across virtually the whole of Europe. So suddenly Northern Europe loses all of those warm temperature anomalies that we have had going up to there. It's generally solidly above average. We get to December and yes, the above average temperature suddenly disappears. So maybe December will be our best chance of having a cooler month. This doesn't show colder than average yet. That's because we've not got a strong suggestion of northern blocking. But if we was to get northern blocking, driving that trough down across the country, if we get cold air via northern blocking beginning to feed into that trough this way and maybe this way, then we will be looking at a colder than average month. I certainly wouldn't say it's going to be colder than average December with any confidence at this stage. Remember, this is all just for fun. December is a huge time away on this model anyway. But yeah, just a suggestion there that maybe things are changing for December. Then we get to January and things are going back to normal again. Remember, the reason for that is that the trough, instead of being centrally located over the UK, is ever so slightly to the west, and we begin to feed up more of a west to southwesterly flow. So overall, it does look like being a very warm end to 2014, and that probably goes on even into the start of 2015 if these charts are right. Precipitation finally, and this is the rainfall forecast for August. Looking at a wetter than average month here across many parts of the country. I'm not sure it can be quite that bad. Certainly in the north and the west I would suspect it could be wetter than average, but essentially he says probably nearer normal, to be honest. But it's going to be wetter, I think, than we've had it through the summer so far, so we are going to have more rain to deal with. Going through to September, again, we've got the rain to the south of the country. We've got that trough of low pressure across Spain and Portugal. That could threaten us at times moving up from the south. But the idea really is for an average to drive an average month for much of the country. That extends into Scandinavia as well. September is often a dry month. I explain this a lot. So September is often a dry month, and you would expect with the sort of anomaly it's going for with high pressure over Scandinavia to have quite a dryish month. But that doesn't preclude the risk, certainly, of some rain in the south. Wetter than average for October, an Atlantic westerly based month. It could be overdoing the temperatures a little bit for October, I have to say. On the 700 millibar height anomaly, which was basically for low pressure to be sitting to the north of the country around there, and the jet stream running in off the Atlantic into the British Isles and into Europe like that. That sort of scenario in October, it's not going to be desperately warm. It may be a little bit above average, but actually I would suspect temperatures could be near average really for October on an Atlantic westerly based month. Going through to November, and the rainfall anomaly is easing off. That's because the low pressure is stalling somewhat out in the Atlantic, but it's a deep trough, so the potential certainly in the west for quite a wet month. That's quite a strange one for November, but I expect it to be quite an unsettled month. And by November, westerlies are then capable of producing a milder than average deviation. Now look at this as we get through to December. We find the wettest anomalies are actually to the south of the country over France and Spain, so very wet down there. The suggestion here is that we've got drier than average precipitation anomalies for much of Norway. We've also got it across Iceland. So the reason for that is that the trough is centrally located somewhere around here. But I just think there's a chance here that with these anomalies we could be using that northern blocking to feed cold air into this trough, and December, on the basis of what we're looking at here, could be our best chance of getting a colder than average month certainly on these charts, but of course it's very unreliable. It's a long way off and there's not enough to go at yet to predict northern blocking, and that's the key to pushing that cold air into the trough. We get through to January, and again quite interesting anomalies, because once again we're seeing drier than average anomalies here for Norway, again across Iceland, and again for even into Scotland. So the idea was that the trough would be more or less centred to just to the west of Ireland, and we'd be feeding in these southwesterly winds. But of course, if we have got high pressure up here, we're going to have a battle, and we're going to start to see cold air being fed in. So it could be a battleground month, January. We could be watching the Atlantic battling against some blocking, but of course that's a long way off. It is 6 months away. It cannot be relied upon in any shape or form. That's just sort of the suggestion that model is going with. So December and January could be quite interesting, particularly December. I'm quite interested in what's going on for December, but I'd like to see that repeated and the trend sort of developed over the next few months. So I think next month's update will be very interesting to see whether we start to see greater evidence of northern blocking beginning to come into play for December and maybe for January as well. But before those months, it does look like we're in for continuing quite a warm period, but it is more unsettled, I have to say. But I think we're going to be seeing some wetter conditions through August. It may turn a bit drier for a time through September, but I think really we're looking at quite an unsettled autumn on the basis of these charts, and that's in a more reliable time frame. So a more unsettled autumn seems probable on the basis of these charts, and an end to summer. Where we go when we get into December and January, that's much too far away for me to have any confidence in. That's it for now. It's all just for fun, bit of speculation. The charts are there, so you might as well use them, but don't take anything that you see in this video seriously. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll do it all over again in September, but that's all for now, and thanks for watching.